Walt Disney was the only ultra rare within the Disney Plus week drops. And today we're going to discuss just what it should be worth, if it's worth you picking one up, and all the information you need to know behind the Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse statues themselves. Let's get into it. Welcome in everyone, my name is Andy and I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to come and watch this video on the channel. Just before we get started, if you do enjoy the content, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button as we are growing this community like never before, and I really appreciate you all who are loving this content as well. So I had a little bit of a debate on Twitter the other day surrounding Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse with the Partners NFT that dropped recently within the Disney Plus week, with them saying it's not really worth anything and it will never be able to sustain the value that it's at. But I disagreed. I thought there was a lot of other things going for the collectible itself and the worth of it for the long run. But I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into the information to see if it really is standing up to what it's worth right now and potentially what it could be worth in the future. Now, when we first think about Disney itself, Mickey Mouse usually comes to the front of your mind. Him and Walt as being the creator. Most people on this planet would be able to tell you that Walt Disney was the creator of Disney and Mickey Mouse is the face of it. Now, this may change in the next 100 years or so, but for now, especially the people who are collecting these sorts of NFTs knows that this is the case. And with Disney being one of the biggest companies in the world, especially in the entertainment business, it's no wonder that this has the value that it already does, with only dropping last week. That's about 4% of the overall supply that was actually given out. It's significantly lower than a lot of the other collectibles that happen to drop on times like this. Usually you see around about a 10% supply, and when it goes underneath that, you know that the demand is going up for it. But seeing a 4% demand for this already shows me great signs that this is definitely something people want and people want to hold. We always want the first of something, you know, to have the first Pokemon cards in the world, to have the first video game console in the world. This is very significant to a lot of people, and especially collectors. They want to collect the first of things. And although we've had other Disney Animation Studio drops and the Disney drops themselves, Walt and Mickey are the first ever appearances of people of this caliber, the creator of Disney and the main character of Disney itself. To add on to this, and just as the significance within Vive itself, Partners NFT is the lowest amount of additions that any of them had. The rest of them had around 12,300 for the commons or the uncommons, and then I believe it was 6,000 odd for the rares or the uncommons, whatever dropped as the second in the higher rarity. This already adds value to the Partners NFT itself and helps boost up the price higher than all of the rest. I believe the closest one right now is the Fantasia hat, which is sitting around 1.9k. When I was actually writing my points for this video, I saw that Walt was holding an easy 3k floor, and now I believe it's up to about 6 or 7k, which does show me that more demand is still continuing to happen and people are really wanting this within their vault and within their collectibles for this. Something else I thought that was really interesting, it was a point brought up by NFT Pirates, and he mentioned that something like Secret Rare Spider-Man is unlikely to be the last Spider-Man we see. We've already seen the 5 different Spider-Man for the first ever one that was dropped, then had the Ben Reilly Spider-Mans that were dropped, and finally we've had the zombie Spider-Man that has dropped. And it's unlikely that that's going to be the last Spider-Man that are ever dropped on Vive. However, when it comes to something like Walt and Mickey together as one, it's unlikely we're ever going to see that form of collectible again. Yes, I reckon we will see more of Mickey Mouse in the future as an NFT solely in itself, but I don't ever see Walt being commissioned as another NFT, especially with Mickey. That statue is so significant in the Disney world, and I really don't see how they implement Walt and Mickey together ever again, and I don't really see the need for it. This also brings me to the point of the cost of Walt itself from the beginning. Not only were there lower additions than say something like Todd, which we also believe to be a blue chip on the app, but at this time, people did not have the same amount of gems as they did back then. I've seen some people who have 50 Todds in their vault because they were here so early on with Vive. But now that we got over 100,000 downloads within the Disney week alone, and with more people having more money to work with and okay with actually spending that money, it's unlikely to see that people have more than 1 or 2 of these partner statues in their vault, because they can't just pick up a Todd for whatever price he was in the beginning. They're genuinely having to pay a premium price for this. This means we have more unique holders, and shifting that price in the marketplace is going to be harder. So whales can't manipulate it potentially the same way that they could when it comes to Todd McFarlane. I'm not saying people will manipulate Todd McFarlane's price, and I'm not saying people will not manipulate Partner's price, but I am saying that more unique holders means the strength of the price relies more on a lot more people than a very small amount. This is great in sense for the price, because the more people who have got diamond hands and actually want to buy that will buy and hold for years on end. Whereas someone who maybe sees the Todd price doubling might have a conviction to sell 20 of them off and lowering the price gradually. And by the way, just as a side note, I used to love playing FIFA and trading on FIFA. If you're ever someone who mass buys don't list them all up at the same time. List one, wait on it selling, and then list another. It means the price remains the same. People who want to hold this will get the good deal, and then you also sell them for a great price. I never understand when people sell 20 at the one time and lower the price each time. It just doesn't make sense to me. A little bit of patience is going to pay off in that sense. So if you're someone who likes to trade on the app, try that for once if you're mass buying. As I've mentioned before, Todd is seen as a blue chip NFT within VeVe itself, and I would say within a lot of other places. First ever Batman NFT. The Partners NFT is the same. I would say that is classed as a blue chip NFT on VeVe, and something that people will look back on in 5 and 10 years and think, wow, being able to be in VeVe at that time with 4,300 editions when we have X amount of millions of people in this app, that is insane. If we do have 1 million users, let's just say we have 1 million active users at some point in the future, and if we do go off on the basis that there's all the collectibles that Partners was there at 4,333, I believe it was. I know VeVe takes some, but we're just going to use that to make it easy. That's about 0.0043% of the whole audience that can own one of these partners. Now again, this doesn't take into consideration the people who hold 2, and maybe even more than 2. I have seen the most that someone's held is 12. I know for a fact that won't be everyone, and that will only be whales who will be able to afford that. Because even in the beginning, when the marketplace opened, you're still paying upwards of 26 to 27k for all of those. Not everyone has that. A very small percentage have that to even work with. So this is something that you've got to take into account. As we grow a more user base, and as more people who enjoy Disney and enjoy the collectibles that they see here go down in the supply, people are going to take notice of the price, and Partners I see rising significantly with that. I also want to take note that it doesn't always have to make sense. One of the aspects I always go back to is the Labicon, which overtook all of them apart from the ultra rare when that dropped, because people desire to have that in their vault. It didn't make sense that the common had the most editions and sold for basically the most out of all of them, rising well above ones that had less and less editions. It doesn't always actually have to make sense. Just because Walt has 4,300 editions doesn't mean that people don't want it. And I have never actually seen more of a desire to have Walt and Mickey than anything within this community so far. People do want Todd. People have talked about wanting Spider-Man, the Secret Rare comics. I have never seen an urge to get the Partners NFT more than this. Everyone who I'd talked to was trying to sell things off to get it, was really wanting it, and the people who I do know who have been on the app for a while thought this was a must to get, and I was the same. I've never had that same thought process of getting a Secret Rare Marvel comic or the Secret Rare Spider-Man, even though I did want them, was not willing to sell off things to make sure I got it. I decided there and then that that was something I needed, and I think a lot of other people made that decision. It's that need and urge to have it in your vault that shows the backing of the community within the Partners NFT itself, and why so many people are willing to hold for years on end because of the significance for this. Something else that was brought up was the physical price of the collectible itself. Now on the Disney store, I couldn't actually find it for the UK, but a screenshot came from someone else where it shows that the Partners Walt and Disney Mickey Mouse statue was $119, which could turn off some people thinking, you know, that's not that high. I mean, if you look at the Marvel comic Secret Rare and the actual comic itself, it sold for 1.26 million. So is there something here where people are inflating the price? Maybe that is the case. But I honestly believe that the desire to have this well outweighs something like a physical statue like this. So something like collectibles from Star Wars is going to be fairly different than the collectibles of Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse within this instance. The NFTs being so new, and especially within the first ever Disney NFT itself, it is a little bit different from having a Walt and Mickey statue to a Walt and Mickey NFT within the Disney Golden Moments drops. I'm not saying that the price may be a little bit inflated due to this. I'm just giving you the facts of the situation. The physical collectible does not go for millions of dollars. I'm not actually sure what the supply of the physical collectible is, and if someone does know that, please let me know, as I'd love to understand it a little bit further and maybe your thoughts on that instance. To also flip up a little bit, we can actually see that there was a Celebration Mickey that is a 24 karat gold authentic Mickey Mouse sculpture that was made back in 2001, and the value on that is appraised at around $4 million, with the nose alone being over 100,000. Now, I'm of course not saying that the gold that we have in our NFTs is the same as 24 karat gold Mickey Mouse statue. But if a celebration statue in 2001 is appraised at $4 million, the NFT that only a very finite amount of people can actually own certainly reach upwards of $10, $20, and $30,000. I don't have a great price gauge for what this could potentially be. Just as a fun note, it's something that I can look back on in the future. I'm going to guess that by the end of the year, partners will be around 11k. By next year at this time, it'll be around 25k. Could be completely wrong, but it's always fun to look back on these videos from a year's time and see if you were way off or see if you were actually quite close. Be able to compare the markets for what they're at right now. What do you think about the partner statue? Is it something you've purchased yourself, or do you think I'm way off talking about what I believe this could be worth? Feel free to let me know down in the comments. I know the video on the screen right now will be something you'll love to watch. Have a fantastic day.